Virgos, chances are, as of you watching this video, life seems to have already thrown you a major curveball, whether that's a change in your career, your love life, or something else entirely. And that is because as of today, eclipse season has begun and the eclipse portal has been open. You're one of the two major signs, in fact, in the spotlight for this eclipse season. So in today's video, let's dive into how eclipse season of fall of 2025 is going to affect you and how you can prepare for the major transits and life shifts that may be coming your way. My Virgo sun, moon, and risings, welcome back to the channel. I'm sure you already know the drill. I'm Isabel, your spiritual rebel friend. Chances are this is not your first of my Virgo horoscopes that you're watching. Chances are you've probably already watched your Virgo 2025 horoscope, and if you have not yet already, I encourage you to watch that because a lot of what I'm going to be talking about in this video today is a lot of what I already talked about for you at the beginning of the year, because you are in the spotlight this year, you and Pisces, whether Virgo is your sun, your moon, or your rising, or Pisces is your sun, your moon, and your rising. And so you've already experienced some major shifts this year. This has probably been a very challenging year for you and your relationships. And guess what? It's coming back full force in September of 2025 as the eclipse portal opens, and you're going to have a solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse in your sign and your opposite sign, Pisces. So point being, this is a major year for you, and there really are two major months where you're in the spotlight. One of them was March, the other is September. So in today's video specifically, I'm going to cover the lunar eclipse in Pisces, its details, facts, and effects, the solar eclipse in Virgo, the details, facts, and effects, how you are going to be affected by these lunations, and your advice for these lunations, as well as other planets that are affecting this eclipse season. So this is your guide to eclipse season of 2025, specifically September of 2025. But of course, this ties into a greater storyline for you, Virgos. So I'm going to talk a lot in today's video about how this plays into your greater purpose and the greater changes that are taking place that are likely to also play out this month. And anytime we have eclipse season, it throws us major curveballs. So I'd love to hear down in the comments below, before we get any further, Virgo sun, moon, and risings, have you experienced a major curveball or change in your life? As of today, the filming of this video is around mid-August. We're starting to already feel the energies, and most of the people I talk to, probably about 90%, have said that they have had a major turning point, a change in their physical life or change of heart that has shaken up their world. So I'd love to hear down in the comments below if you're a part of that group. And of course, eclipse season is not only intense, but it's a great opportunity to reflect on how far you've come and reassess where you're headed in the future. So if you want personalized guidance to the stars, how they are affecting you and how you can align with them based off of your unique desires in life, I invite you to book a reading in the description box below, because this will be accurate for your sun, your moon, and your rising, but you have a unique birth chart, and that means that these eclipses are going to uniquely affect you. So learn more about readings in the description box below. Whether you've done a reading with me before or this would be your first reading for me, it's a great opportunity to either get another reading or get your first reading done so that you know what your soul's purpose is, you reassess how to align with it, and you know what you're being invited to do with this eclipse season. So with that spiel out of the way, let's dive into your eclipse of 2025 September horoscope, starting off with talking about the lunar eclipse happening in Pisces on September 7th. The lunar eclipse takes place at 15 degrees of Pisces, and there are a few different planets and points very active with this lunar eclipse in particular. But first, let's start off with the basics. Lunar eclipses are accentuated full moons. So we have intense endings, culminations, as well as intense fruition, so to say, taking place, because the two major things that come up with a full moon is reaping reward, something coming to us to receive, but also whatever is outdated falling away. It's like we're shining a light to be warmed in the spotlight, so to say, to finally feel seen and have fruition, but anything that is no longer necessary or you don't want to carry with you on the stage falls away, so to say. And so with there being a lunar eclipse in Pisces, in your direct opposite sign, Virgo sun, moon, and rising, this is bringing destined and fated culminations, endings, and fruitions and fulfillments to your one-on-one relationships. This could be your romantic one-on-one relationships, your platonic one-on-one relationships, or even business one-on-one relationships. I would invite you to look back to February 27th, roughly end of February of 2025. What relationships were in the spotlight and what were you thinking in regards to relationships? Because chances are this eclipse on the 7th of September is bringing that relationship into the spotlight for a change. But if there's not a specific relationship that was in the spotlight in February, maybe it was your perception of relationships. Eclipses not only bring destined fated events to our physical reality, but change of mind as well. And this is something often forgotten in modern day astrology interpretation, which oftentimes leads people to feeling like astrology is BS, because not always is the eclipse or full moon, new moon going to bring something to your physical reality. It could bring something up for you mentally that's just as important. So maybe back in February of 2025, maybe you were questioning, what is the expectation of a good relationship? What do I want from a future marriage? How do I really expect my business partner to be? What do I expect of a friendship? Maybe you are redefining what a positive interaction one-on-one means, because the 7th house, which is what is activated for you, is not just bringing to light your romantic, platonic, and business partnerships, but your expectation of what a one-on-one relationship itself should be. So have you felt like you've been called over this year to redefine what your expectations of a relational dynamic is, what a good relationship is, whether that's friendship, partnership, or business? This could be something that is experiencing a fulfillment and a culmination with the lunar eclipse in Pisces. In the end, with this being in Pisces, this is about how you find harmony with others and with yourself, how you express unconditional love and compassion and forgiveness in your one-on-one relationship dynamics. Yes, you're a critical, detail-oriented, factual, practical, selfless Virgo in some means, but also innately, regardless of whether Virgo is your sun, moon, or rising, you value feeling harmonious and accepted and unconditionally loved in relationships. And this value is coming to light with the lunar eclipse on the 7th at 15 degrees of Pisces. Now, not only do we have this lunar eclipse happening in Pisces, which is bringing destined shifts, fated events to your romantic, business, and platonic partnerships, but also we have a few planets and points activated, one of which is the North Node and South Node. North Node is at 18 degrees of Pisces as of this lunation, so it's conjunct this new full moon. My brain's jumping ahead. This lunar eclipse, simply put, has the North and South Node strongly tied to this lunation. It is conjunct this lunation. And so whatever endings or culminations or fulfillments take place are aligning you to your soul's purpose. You may be called to let go of parts of yourself that are no longer serving you, the parts of yourself that are maybe too critical of yourself and others, the parts of yourself that are maybe too selfless. Simply put, you may be even called to let go of parts of yourself that are strong points of your identity and your emotional well-being. And with that, you're creating space for this relationship that you want to thrive and flourish, regardless of whether you're in this relationship or not. But with that, you may be called to let go because the South Node and North Node are active during this lunar eclipse. Now, the South Node and North Node weren't, I don't believe, heavily present during the new moon in Pisces on the 27th, but nonetheless, you can still look back to that date to understand maybe what is coming up for you, as well as to 2 weeks prior to August 23rd, when we have the new moon in Virgo. What were you initiating during that time? Because this is now where you can expect the conclusion to come up. Overall, with the North Node active, with this full moon, whatever happens with this eclipse, even though eclipses already highlight this, that these lunations align us to our soul's path, this could be one of the better way to say that. Whatever happens with this lunar eclipse, I would interpret that there's going to be a very clear understanding as to why this is happening and why it is impacting your soul's purpose. Oftentimes when we have eclipses, it can feel like the rug was pulled out from underneath us, and it takes 6 months for us to figure out why this was in alignment with our highest purpose and why it was in our best interest. What I interpret with the North Node being conjunct this full moon could be that we see exactly the benefit of the things that are happening in our life during this lunar eclipse at the moment of the eclipse. You may be able to fully understand what is happening and why it is happening for you, not just to you. Additionally, we have two other planets involved with this lunar eclipse, one of which is Mercury enters Virgo on September 2nd and is active and conjunct this lunar eclipse, which is in your sign. As far as Mercury in your sign, that is. Mercury in your sign, you may be feeling like it's more natural for you to communicate your sense of self and to express who you are. So a key interpretation and takeaway I would keep in mind for you Virgos, sun, moon, and rising with this lunation is to express who you are and to practice self-awareness. Really take the time from the 2nd to the 7th to observe yourself and then share that with the world. If it's your sun, expressing who you are. If it's your moon, expressing your emotions. If it's your rising, expressing who you want to be more so. Finally, Saturn is retrograde back in Pisces as of the 1st of September. So it's going to be in this axis of the eclipses for the duration of eclipse season. With Saturn retrograde back in Pisces at 29 degrees during this lunar eclipse in Pisces, you can expect themes of restriction and the need to set boundaries in your relationships to resurface. Maybe even be more of an authority, a compassionate authority though, in your relationships during this lunation. And finally, again, I keep forgetting to make a note about this, so there's not going to be any fancy, editing over the screen or design over the screen to say this, but also heavily active with this lunar eclipse is Jupiter in Cancer, forms a sextile/trine to this new full moon. Jupiter in Cancer forms a trine and sextile to this full moon in Pisces, this lunar eclipse. And so there's an expansion likely happening in your community, purpose, and aspirations that positively impacts your relationships. This is a very positive aspect nonetheless, simply put, to have during this eclipse season that can be really helpful in making this lunar eclipse feel more positive rather than challenging. I would recommend that you watch my video I did talking about Jupiter in Cancer and how it affects your sign. I believe it is titled The Era of Softening. I will probably forget to put it in the card up above, but if you go to my playlist on Astrology Forecast Current Transits, you will find that video. Now that is the lunar eclipse in Pisces. We are also going to have on September 21st, the solar eclipse at 29 degrees of your sign, Virgos. And this is the second of a two-piece set. So I'd be curious for you to look back to August 23rd. What did you initiate in regards to your sense of self, who you want to be, and how you want to be appearing in the world around that time frame? Because now you are experiencing the destined shifts in alignment with who you are meant to become during this eclipse on the 21st in your sign. With this being at 29 degrees of Virgo, this is a critical, challenging degree. It is, so to say, the final degree. Therefore, it means we are having our final culminations here. And this is a very intense energy, especially in regards to you, Virgo, since this is your sign. You may feel like there's this almost now or never energy in regards to who you want to be and how you are meant to show up in the world. With this solar eclipse in particular, you can expect fated new beginnings in particular, as this is a accentuated new moon. So you are experiencing the opportunities to become something new, initiate something new, and intend something new. I will say overall, for solar eclipses, it seems like oftentimes new things come into our life that shift who we are, rather than intending and initiating something new. Or if we are initiating something new, it's because we're literally being pushed and almost forced, it feels like, to do so energetically. But nonetheless, this is in alignment with your highest good and aligning you with who you are meant to be. This is potentially maybe feels like an identity breakthrough for you, where you get to shift who you are into who you've always wanted to be, or letting go of the behaviors and identity that no longer seem to suit you and align with your highest good. So destined new beginnings, simply put. And this new moon solar eclipse in Virgo directly opposes Saturn retrograde in Pisces, which means that there may be a bit of a push-pull dynamic between who you want to be versus what you may feel is responsible in your relationship. Or maybe it feels like you have to let go of the beliefs of restriction you may hold or believe you have in your relationships? Are you thinking that there's more limitations in your relationships than there actually is? Are you saying you have to show up as a certain person? Maybe you have to be called to get clearer about your boundaries and what boundaries you don't need to have in order to become the person you want to be. Nonetheless, I will simply say, above all else, for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising with the solar eclipse, you won't be able to anticipate what is actually going to happen. This is going to change who you are as a whole, but this is such a major transit for you that is changing your entire being, that to try to narrow it down into what specifically may happen is kind of not even just a challenge, but not needed. Just expect to feel transformed. And I know that sounds like the most non-linear advice, which I try not to give. I try to be very practical, but something big is coming your way, Virgos, and it's going to be unique to you because it's going to align you with who you individually are meant to be based off of your unique life story, your unique birth chart, and your unique purpose. So with that in mind, what advice would I give to Virgos for this eclipse season, Sun, Moon, and Rising? How can you align to this eclipse season so that you can navigate it with ease and even reap the benefits you're meant to reap from this lunation period? Because in the end, eclipses are meant to be like guardrails to push us in the direction we're meant to go. It can often feel like a lot of things are falling away and we're left with only a very narrow path, and we are meant to walk it. It feels like oftentimes the sun is blocked out, and so we're walking in the dark in the only direction we feel is available. And so with that all in mind, this could be a very intense month where you feel like there's only one direction you can go in your relationship to yourself and others. This highlights how you identify yourself in the world versus how you relate to others, how you connect with others, and how you connect with yourself. This is all about you and the people you connect with. And so with that all in mind, I would recommend that you reflect and take the time to sit down and think about, what have I learned about my relationships and myself over this year? What are the outdated models of interacting in relationships that are no longer serving me? What are the outdated perceptions of myself that are no longer serving me that I want to release? Who do I want to become? And what is the ideal relationship truly for me? What would it mean to be unconditionally loved and accepted and supported in a relationship? And who do I need to become in order to embrace and accept that when it comes my way? What am I looking for in relationships? What is my expectation of a great relationship? Really assessing how you have changed your beliefs around relationships and your relationship to yourself is one of the biggest pieces for aligning with this eclipse season in September of 2025. Even simply put, Virgos, I will say that identifying what relationships are most important to you and engaging with those, a loud car going by, engaging with those relationships could be very helpful during this month ahead, because regardless, they are going to be in the spotlight. I will say from personal experience, having experienced eclipse season in my sign and my opposite sign for the last year or two, it seems like for me what has come up is there's not necessarily like this huge breakup. There's not necessarily this like suddenly meeting my soulmate kind of thing. And maybe that's unique to my life story, but what did come up more was, how do I relate to others? And what does friendship, connection, and partnership really mean? Over this past few years with eclipse season in my 7th house and 1st house, similar to how you have now, I've really been challenged to see what I see and connect with friendships. And it took me 6 months to realize what those friendships were going to become. But nonetheless, it felt like faded connections were coming into my life, ones that play a huge role in how I perceived connection, friendship, and romantic partnership to be. And it really helped me identify who I want to be going forward, what boundaries I want to set with myself versus the world. So maybe this month is an opportunity, this eclipse season is an opportunity for you to observe what your initial instinctual reactions are to people and keep an open mind to what connections could become, and also allow this month to bring out your, so to say, reactive responses to others and what that therefore defines who you are, because your reactive responses are still a part of you. So I think that is all I have for you guys today. I would love to hear what other questions you have regarding this eclipse season. down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to answer as many as possible, as I know that there can be so much going on for everyone during this eclipse season. And if you are a Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, who wants to know what to prepare for with this eclipse season ahead, I invite you to book a reading down in the description box below. Again, these these horoscopes, these readings are great for those who have never done a reading, of course, with me, but also great for those who have. If you've done a reading with me before in the past, probably back in March or February, then I encourage you to do another reading again, not because you need more data, but to get some clarity and guidance on understanding and processing your own thoughts. Sometimes having a reading is great just as a sounding board for getting to express and share where you are at, to more clearly understand where you are at. If you're looking for support, if you're looking for advice, if you're looking for guidance, if you're looking for someone who just understands your thought process, readings are meant for you. They really are simply almost like therapy or consultation sessions where we meet and talk human to human. And we, of course, take a bit of astrology into account to help you understand where you may be heading, where you want to go, and who you are as a whole. So learn more about readings in the description box below, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars and more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Once again, my name's Isabel, and from my heart to yours, namaste.